Hi, crafty friends. Okay, guys, so we're going to do a couple of projects here, 6 total, because we did these projects for my daughter's dorm room. So first up, I found the cutest, there's 2 different packs of napkins that I got, and then also some really cool wallpaper because her bedding is kind of like grandma cottagecore chic. You know what I'm talking about? So I was like, okay, let's do a monogram here. And friends, the second layer of those napkins, the ply, they were so difficult to get off. It took me a hot minute, but finally got those done. And then I just grabbed some Mod Podge and I'm just going to cover the letter. It already came in white, which was great because these napkins, you need to have something back behind it. But even, if it's not like the exact same color, that's okay. Just something similar, because here's where you can see it's really shining through or coming through. So I'm just kind of pressing it down with my hands. I kind of pulled it up a little bit here and there just because there were some, little creases in it. This is the one thing about Mod Podge that drives me crazy is that you get all of those little wrinkles and creases and everything. So then I was like, okay, I want to try something out to see if we can get rid of those. So I grabbed a piece of parchment paper, and then I've got one of those little mini heat press iron thingamaboppers. You could use a regular iron. And I'm just going over the top of this, hoping that I can get all of the wrinkles out. And I'll tell you what, I went up and down first, and then I went sideways also, just to kind of see, and it worked so good. So I was like, yay to that. So now I'm just going to use some sandpaper, sand the edges, and also a nail file to get in all the little nooks and crannies. And then I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Let's add something else to this. So when we were at, I think I was at Michael's, they had these sheets of pearls, like half pearls, and they have the sticker on the back of them. So I just cut out each strip, and then I'm just going to go right around the outside of the M. And at first I was cutting as I went. And then I thought, you know what? I don't even think I need to do that. I think I can just go a little bit at a time. And then if I have a big corner that I have to make, I could trim it and then start again. But just leaving it in the long sheets made it look so stinking cute. I love it. All right, so the next one is we're going to do a little decorative box. Look how cute these are. Man, I love when you find these napkins. I got these at Marshall's on sale, even better. And I thought the second ply on the first napkins were tough. This one, friends, I didn't think I was going to ever get this thing off there, but finally I found a spot where it kind of gave a little bit of a way, and I just kept persistence pays off it. This is just one of those. But anyways, once I got that done, I was like, all right, I have this little box that we got something in, and I thought, let's use this and turn it into a little storage box. So at first I was just going to try to, get the edges up on the underneath of the lid and then just peel it back off because we need to obviously not cover the napkin because all of that would show through. And then I was like, you know what? That's not going to work. So I was like, let's paint it. So I just already had some paint on a sponge and just went over it, just did a really quick coat. And because again, I was just trying to cover up all that darkness so that when, the napkin goes over the top, we don't see any of that. And then I was like, okay, we're going to let this completely dry. Then we'll start adding our Mod Podge, and then we will put the napkin over the top. And I was kind of thinking the top fits over the bottom of the bottom of the box. So I was like, I'm going to paint the bottom of the box and then just the top part will be this napkin. But I was thinking about how I wanted to do the ends. So I kind of did it like I was wrapping a present. That seemed to be the easiest way to do it because at first I was like, oh, wait, I could just kind of trim to the edges. And then I was like, I don't think that's going to work. I don't think it's going to hold right. So that's what I ended up doing. It's almost like you lay it down and then you fold the edges over and then added the Mod Podge, and that worked really great. So Mod Podge is on there. Now we're going to add this right over the top of it. And I think these napkins are so stinking cute. Now, I was talking to our daughter and I was like, oh, doesn't this make you want to do more projects? And so then she gave me this whole laundry list of other things she wants to do. I was Great, let's get them done. Because we had quite a few napkins and some wrapping paper. I can't wait to show you guys the wrapping paper. It's so stinking cute. But this is where I'm just kind of like tucking everything in and around, and again, using lots of Mod Podge. And then once it's dry, we'll just go ahead and hit it with our sanding block and just clean it up. And then if you have to do any little piecemeal stuff, you can. And then I put this little handle thing on the top. Isn't that so cute? Just to put little funds in. All right, so now this notebook I got at the Dollar Tree, and I was like, I want to take all of this off. And then I started taking the pink off, and I was like, oh my gosh, I think I'm like taking too much of it off. Like it's pulling in weird spots. And I was like, oh, I don't know. But the wallpaper, or not wallpaper, sorry, the gift wrap that I got for this is thick enough that I'm like, I think we can make this work. So I'm going to do the front and the back of this, but then I'm going to take one of them and kind of fold it up and over. At first I thought, oh, I could put some ribbon on the edge, kind of how they had that black edge, you know, the bound kind of edge. And then I was like, you know what? No, I think I'm just going to fold the wallpaper over. And then I kind of opened the book and kind of flattened it just to see how it would work. And it stuck on there great and didn't crease or anything. So I was like, yay to that. So I got it all cut down here. And because the wrapping paper is so thick, I really did use quite a bit of Mod Podge on this, but I really wanted to make sure that it held on nicely. And I was pleasantly surprised that it did. You can see there are some parts there on the notebook. I got a little crazy, but that's the only color notebook I had. And I didn't want to have to paint it. So that's what I ended up doing. And it worked out. So yay to that. All right. So once we get this all on there, and again, there's a lot. Because I really wanted to make sure that the, thicker wrapping paper stayed. Then we're going to just put that on there. And so because there's kind of lines in this wrapping paper, I really wanted to make sure it was straight-ish. Yeah, I know. Sometimes, friends, are y'all like me? Like I don't measure, I don't do this, I don't do that. I just willy-nilly it. Yeah, that's me. But look at this wrapping paper. Is this not the cutest? Oh my gosh, I love it, love it, love it. All right, so we're going to put it on. And then what I decided to do was the same thing, how we clean up the other edges. I just ran the, oh my gosh, why did my brain go blank? Oh, the sanding block over the edges. And I kind of put it over the edge of my table, made it a little bit more stiff so I could just really clean those up. And then we're going to do the other side of this. And to let it dry, I went ahead and put a bunch of heavy books on the top of it, just so that there was no warping or anything like that. So you saw there were some wrinkles. So we laid the parchment paper down again, and I'm just using that little mini press. But friends, look how stinking cute this is. So much fun to have it like personalized to what we want. All right, so up next, we are going to do the little fun picture frame. And I ended up putting like this little clip on the front of it so she could just like slide pictures in and out or memorabilia or whatever she wanted to. So at first, this is those frames from the Dollar Tree that are plastic. I was like, oh, let me use this pink chalk paint that I have. And I forgot this chalk paint dries almost white. So I was like, I wasn't really loving it with what we were going to put in the back of it with the paper. So I was like, you know what? I let that dry, and then I grabbed out a little bit darker of a pink color. It's got more of like a little bit, I don't know, like a dusty pink. I was going to say dusty rose. Like that. Not the words I wanted. But anyways, so we're going to put this on there, and I love how this looks even more. My daughter is not so much of a fan of gold like I am. So if it was going to be for my room, I would add some gold detailing kind of at the top. But for her, she's just like, nah, no, just leave it like that. I love it like that. So we're going to use some double-sided tape from the Dollar Tree, and that's how we are going to adhere, there we go, to the back of the picture frame here. Oh, and by the way, this is my last roll of double-sided tape. So I checked the Dollar Tree that is here by me in my town, and they didn't have any of it. So we were out in the city, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to try a Dollar Tree there. And they had a ton. I'm so glad. So now I stocked up because it's super inexpensive, and you get a lot on that roll. So a little bit goes a long way if you haven't tried this double-sided tape. So I just kind of put it around the edges, and then I just put one part in the middle, just a small little part. I don't know that I really needed that. But again, I just kind of felt like if I did the Mod Podge on this, because that back of that board is cardboard, it might make it a little bit weird. It probably wouldn't have, but I just thought, let's use the double-sided tape and make it easy. And I was also thinking, just in case she wants to change this out at some point, she could just pull this off of the back and then just change the paper or add something else, whatever she wanted to. But I just think this wrapping paper is so stinking fun. I love it so much. All right, so now that this is on there, we are going to do the same thing. We're going to clean up the edges with our sanding block. And then once those are all done, we're just going to put the whole thing back together and add that little clip in there. And I just think that one is super fun too. So I love these patterns together. Okay, up next is the pen holder. And then once I did it, she was like, I don't know that I want to use that for a pen. I think I'm going to put my makeup brushes in it. And I was like, whoo, okay, there's another idea. But anyways, I got these napkins, obviously you saw on sale. We're going to take those off. And then that little pink, it's up there at the top of the screen. It's a little container that I got, but it has kind of like a big, huge scallop at the top. So I got that at Dollar General, I think. And I thought, okay, let's sand it a little bit because it's plastic and super slippery. And then I'm going to put a coat of paint on it because we don't want that pink coming through the napkin. So we're going to put a coat of the paint on, and I just did one quick coat over the top of it. Let that dry really, really good. And then we are going to put this over it. Like, see, if you would have had that pink coming through, it would have been a completely different look. So adding some more of the Mod Podge, and then we're just going to kind of wrap this whole thing. And then we will just clean up our edges with some more of the sandpaper. And then I was thinking for the very top there, because obviously I sanded, right, where that big hump is, or not hump, what would that be? Arch, curve, you know what I'm talking about. Sorry, words are difficult again today. When I sanded it, it took off some of that paint. So I was like, oh, what am I going to do? So then I was like, oh, wait, why don't we just use a little bit of Rub and Buff, and we'll just kind of go around that. I was trying to be like not heavy-handed, but of course I got a little heavy-handed, but that's okay. She said she loves it, and she said it reminds her of like those, you know, the tens, like way back in the day, how they would look all like antique-y and cool. She said that's what this totally reminded her of. So I was like, oh, yay, okay, good. I like it. But I just added everything in there. And then I was like, oh man, I should have painted the inside of this too. Why was I not thinking of that? And honestly, spray paint probably would have been a whole heck of a lot faster, but that's okay. Remember, if you do this project, don't do what I do. But spraying the inside would have been good because I am going to put a napkin in there because I really don't want there to be that much of a difference between what's the inside to what's the outside of it. So I'm just trying to gingerly, as you can see, sand right over there because I was really trying not to take that edge off. I guess I could have repainted it, but I kind of thought the Rub and Buff would be fun. And I'm really glad I did because there is gold in the napkins just around everything. So I was like, all right. So, of course, we had some bumps and crinkles in with our Mod Podge. So I was just being super careful just to put the parchment paper over the top and then just iron those right out. And I'm so glad that worked, you guys. I just love it. So I went ahead and I added the Rub and Buff, and then I did the inside of it with the napkin. And look how stinking fun that one is. So cute. Okay, this, friends, I got this frame when I was thrifting. And it's like some type of, I don't know, clay or porcelain. I don't know what it's made out of. But I was like, this is adorable. It's really super heavy, and it was only 25 cents. So I was like, yeah, we can do something with that. So I went ahead and I painted it up. I know I'm covering gold. Can you believe it? I'm covering gold. But again, if it was me, I would leave it and just add a little something, something. But my daughter just likes a little bit of gold here and there. So once we get the whole thing done, then I'm going to, what we're turning this into, maybe I should tell you that, somewhere where she can hang her keys. So I just thought, oh, this would be cute to do. And she has on her desk an outlet that's in the weirdest place. So I have a little hack for you with that. You'll see that here in just a second. But I took some cardboard. I just cut down a piece so that I would have two pieces just to kind of thicken it up a little bit. And then I'm not going to use a traditional hook for this either. When we were at, you'll see it laying there next to the E6000. This is a knob for like a drawer or something like that. I took the long part that you would feed through the wood off of that. I just left a little bit so we can kind of push it through the cardboard. But we are just going to put that right through the cardboard, E6000 that in place, and then that's where she can hang her key at. So I got everything all together, painted the cardboard also because, again, always think about the background color of your napkin is because you don't want something like, you don't want the brown coming through because it'll really come through, especially if your napkin is light like this one, obviously you can see it coming through in the stripes. So now that this is all dried up, we're going to add some Mod Podge to this, and then we're going to add our napkin over the top. Same thing, cleaning up the edges with your sanding block. Bada bing, bada boom. Super duper easy. And then we're going to put this into the frame. And what I did was I went ahead and hot glued this into the frame. And the reason I did that was there wasn't any really good way to hold this into the frame. Again, this is like some type of weird porcelain something something. So I really needed to make sure it was secure, because once she hangs her keys on there, it's going to be a little bit heavy. So I added a little E6000 to that. We're going to do a little hot glue for the instant hold. We're going to put that right in the middle. And then, you know, the little covers that you put into like baby proofing, I glued that to the back of the frame, and then I hung that over the outlet. I love it so much. So thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate it so much. Don't forget to follow for more,